So I finished my drawing, and now what I'm doing is coming in and adding at least the outline of my drawing onto my plate. When I lift this up, I can see the lines that have been carved in. They're not deep enough. I've already gone back over these one time, but I need to make sure that they're very deep. The deeper my lines, the better, because that's going to keep ink from getting down in the cracks of my artwork. So I'm going to finish carving this design down onto the plate by tracing over these things. These little things, I can just carve those directly into the plate. I'm just putting the basic shapes onto the plate by tracing over these. And then I will add the remaining patterns and lines and textures into my plate. Now I am done with the carving. I'm going to detach this drawing because I don't need it anymore. Sometimes this drawing gets messed up when you're working, so you can throw it away if you got it messed up, or if you want to keep it, that's fine too. Just going to fold the tape over here. I'm going to leave this at my table. So now it's time for me to begin the inking process. These are our stations in our classroom. You will need to first visit the paper station, then the inking station, and then the drying station. For your class, it may be the rack or it may be the table. Now that I'm ready for the inking process, I'm going to visit the paper station first. If I forget any of the steps that are in this video, I can refer to this poster right here. It shows me all of the steps of the printmaking process. Number 1, carve your plate, add lots of lines and texture, and make your lines deep. Check, I've already done that. Number 2, select one paper from the paper station and take it to your table. Do this before you visit the inking station. So I'm going to take that to my table, lay it there, and now I am ready to print my foam plate. I'm going to take my foam plate over to the inking station, and Miss Raven is going to help me with getting the ink out of the bottle and squirting it onto the glass plate. You don't want to have too little, and you also don't want to have too much. Now we're at the inking station. I'm going to take my brayer and I'm going to roll this ink out. I roll forward and then I roll side to side. My goal is not to cover this glass plate. My goal is to cover my brayer. And if my lines are carved deep enough, then I should be just fine to put this inked brayer onto my plate. And whenever I do this, you can see wherever I carve with the red ink pen, it's going to look really vibrant because I have pressed those lines down and the ink cannot reach those lines. So I am covering the whole thing. And now I'm ready to move from the inking station back to my table to print my plate. So now I've made it back to my table and I'm ready to print my plate. I'm going to take my plate and turn it face down on the paper that I chose. If my plate winds up being crooked, and mine did, it's a little bit crooked, do not pick it back up and try to replace the print or the plate in another spot. You will have two different images on top of each other. It's okay if I have a little bit of ink on my fingers. It's not a big deal. This is the back of my paper. In my basket, I will find a spoon. This is not going to do anything to help you. You need to rub. I place my thumb in the spoon and I create some pressure. And I rub all over the paper side. Also, rubbing on the foam side is not going to help you much either. Make sure that you're rubbing on the paper side. So I'm rubbing on the paper side all the way across. Make sure I'm trying to get all the spaces. I've had some students who've done a great job of rubbing almost all of the plate, but not all of it. And then they pick up their print, or they pick up their plate from their print and they've missed a spot. So make sure that you cover it well. You can also lift up your plate and your print like this, your paper. You can check the corners and see how things are looking. Okay, pretty good. All right, and now it's time to reveal my print. This is actually step number 6 on the chart behind me here, and you get a reverse image of what you carved. So because my lines were carved really deep, I think that's a very successful print. Now, without touching this wet ink here, I'm gonna get in my basket and I'm gonna find myself a pencil, and I'm gonna very neatly, in my best handwriting, write my name right down here in the corner. and you can also write your class code. Let's pretend that my class code is H5. Okay, so my class code and my name very neatly in the corner, not humongous sprawled out on the side of the page. And then this will now move over to the drying rack. This will go on the drying rack too whenever I'm done with it. I get to make 3 copies of this. So I will get to take this same plate back to the inking station and do the same process I just did again. But for now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to slide it onto the drying station rack. And then I will head back to the inking station with this.